slide.
Got to bring up the red slider.
Got to start over.
Okay. We got to start all over?
Well, you don't have to, but everything up to now was silent. We just realized it.
No!
Sorry.
Those are best stuff.
Okay. Welcome to Compose Yourself with Julie Brandenburg. That's also never happened before. I told you I'm on cold medicine. Good evening, River West, Milwaukee, and possibly the globe. I will fix the podcast. Welcome to Compose Yourself with Julie Brandenburg. This is a talk show about local music as well as a radio workshop for songwriters and composers. We are broadcasting from the River West Film and Video headquarters on Center Street in the heart of beautiful downtown River West. Each week, I will have a panel of songwriters, composers, students, and listeners here to share songs and discuss the craft of songwriting and composing. With me today in the studio is Jacob Mushin, bass player for the Freddie Lee Band, Spencer Powers, who is the drummer for Shroud of Despondency, and Denise Burton, songwriter, composer, singer, pianist, and producer. She is also known as Compose. The disclaimer, I read it before and I'll read it again. Welcome to Compose Yourself. My name is Julie Brandenburg. I'm the producer of this show. The things you will hear over the next 2 hours represents the view of myself and the people making them. All opinions and quotations in no way represent River West Radio and are the sole responsibility of the producer, guests, and callers. River West Radio is not liable for any legal issues arising from the content of this program. Anyhow, this weekend, Art Walk. Fantastic show at Dominion Gallery. Loved it. The Carol Show, fantastic caricatures of people that you feel you really know. And Jacob, you even got a donut when you went there.
Yep, they were very hospitable. They were very friendly when I walked in. I was offered a glazed donut almost immediately upon arrival.
Awesome. And so you have to see the Carol Show, but there's some photographs by Frances Ford. There's some work by Stoney herself, the curator and owner of the gallery. And there's some work by Jesse Jones. And even River West Radio's own Ingrid Eubanks, who is the hostess of the Ingrid's Inspirational Hour, does have some work there that I am currently coveting because it's so cool. She has beautiful pieces as well. So you really want to check it out. It's on Wright Street, Wright and...
Like Wright and Fratney.
Wright and Fratney. So it's an awesome gallery. It was one of the highlights of Art Walk, but of course they're all wonderful. There's some wonderful galleries in the neighborhoods. If you missed Art Walk, that doesn't mean you can't come and visit and see our fabulous galleries. So...
The Inspirational Hour sounds like a really cool name, too.
Yeah.
I actually met a person one time named Inspirational John.
Ah.
And
Yeah, a lot of people around here know that guy. He's a River West local.
Nice, yes, awesome, because he is quite the character. He has a knack for showing up at people's houses when live music is being played, and he's always the most gracious and optimistic listener ever, because every jam was just, whoa, inspirational, dude. So it's very uplifting to have John around.
Well, maybe he'll give us a call during the course of the show. So I understand you have some upcoming Halloween-type shows going on, Spencer?
Yeah, I started a tribute band with the guitarist of Shroud of Despondency, John Lidke, and the host of WMSE's Team Metal program, Jason Ellis, is singing, and it's a tribute to the band Pentagram, who is popular for a flash of a moment in the 70s. And are coming back pretty big.
Wow.
And we also have Shroud of Despondency has a pretty major show coming up this next month over at the Rave. We're opening up for the legendary death metal band Deicide, and that's on November 13th, and tickets are on sale now at theraveeaglesclub.com.
That is awesome, awesome. And you have something coming up in November, Denise.
Yes, R&B Live will be next month in November. I'm not exactly sure the day, but I do believe it's the third Sunday of next month, so I'll keep you posted. You can get tickets in advance for about 10 or 15, and I believe it's 20 at the door.
Awesome. All right. Well, today in our studio, we are very fortunate to have a longtime friend of mine, Notice how I worded that? Longtime friend of mine, Blaine Schultz, who is a songwriter, a journalist, a guitar player, and talented creative individual who we will be interviewing and listening to some of his music in a little while. He has a band called the Aimless Blades, so we're happy to have him in the studio today. Let's start off the show today with a song by one of our favorite metal bands, Face of Ruin. Let's see, let's play Within the Infinite on riverwestradio.com.
Don't
Within the Infinite, riverwestradio.com. This is Face of Ruin, and we hope to have Chris Bissell, the drummer from this band, in the studio with his music from Orwell. He has given me the green light on playing it. We just need to kind of compile it, get it together, and put together a date for them to come on.
And we had John on the show.
We have had John on the show. This is Technical Difficulties Julie Day. We started the show over, and so the listeners do not realize that, and neither will the podcasters. But I am getting sick again. The podcasters and listeners know that I was sick for a long time with bronchitis and laryngitis, and I am officially getting sick again, and my head is just not there. So I'm going to try to talk less and let these guys talk more. We do have some news about Face of Ruin, which is very sad, but indeed they have made the selection to discontinue with this band and this project, but all of them are doing other things. And as Spencer just mentioned, we've had John Litke on the show, and he's doing quite a few projects, and I'll let you guys kind of mention that for a minute.
Yeah, John Litke's main band is now the one I'm in and stuff like that. Faces of Ruin was a really popular band when they were around, and we're really gaining a lot of notoriety in the past year or so.
Yeah, they had done a tour or two. Started
Yeah.
playing with some of the bigger bands on the scene in the sort of progressive death metal scene, and they were getting really good. I watched them live a bunch of times. I went and saw them all over the place. It was kind of a bummer to hear they were breaking up, and yeah, but at least they're all still playing. So
Not all of them. The actually the person who disbanded the group by quitting, Shane, the lead songwriter and mainly rhythm guitarist.
Oh, he decided he's just not going to play music anymore?
Yeah, he's having... Well, I can't really say what he's having because I don't personally know him, but I know that he decided to stop the band altogether and stop music altogether for a little while, and the other guys from Faces were hoping to continue it, but they're all busy doing their own things as well, so that's all right. You need to grow and move on every once in a while. And
Sometimes people need a break. You know, we've known of people who... So this is music you probably haven't heard before, Blaine. What were your thoughts?
Well, actually, I play also play in a group called the River West Aces, and we practice on Wednesday nights. So I usually catch the end of the team metal show on my way home. So, you know, it's good. I like the progressive, you know, some of that stuff. My wife likes Metallica. Mm-hmm. It's called around our house. So I can appreciate that stuff. Obviously, good musicians, obviously, they know what they're doing.
Definitely.
You know, and when it comes to composing stuff, there's a lot of parts there, so
Yeah.
they do their homework.
Yeah. I like heavy music, but it's got to have what you were describing, a lot of parts, a lot of musicianship, and these guys were this good live. They really, really were that good live.
Wow.
they're some of the most technically proficient musicians I've ever met.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was impressive to watch.
Yeah. So, you know, it's news that we're sharing, and we wish the best for everyone in the group. We've played their music many times on the show, and we'll continue to play their music. We will also probably be playing music from the resulting projects that take place as time moves on.
Shroud of Despondency is actually kicking around the idea of having the bassist of Faces of Ruin, Noah Messick, come on and play some rhythm guitar with us and do some vocals, because he's actually a really, really awesome metal vocalist, and I know he wants to get out and do more of that sort of a thing. He's always been a very extremely proficient bass player, but he's kind of getting more into the vocal realm, and that's really cool.
Yes. Can I brag? I actually coached him vocally for a time. We were working mostly on straight vocals and getting some techniques, but you need to have that basis before you can start doing extended outside the box vocals. And he's very large in stature, and so, you know, he's got a very powerful basis for what he's doing. So I'm glad to hear he's running with the singing thing. I thought he was doing so great in Face of Ruin, so awesome. I think we can move on. We're going to play a song now, completely in a different realm, by one of our former guests, James Murphy. And if you would like to look up his music in this project, he spells it Jaems, Murphy. And he is playing tonight at the Why Not 3. And I really, 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 really want to go. And I will not be because I am getting sick. If you guys want to go, that's totally cool. I am now waving at Liv, who was our guest last week, and so you should podcast that show because she was amazing. We were in tears, literally, not figuratively. Okay. So.
Except for Jacob and I, of course. Had to throw that in there, folks.
Oh, you guys were trying not to show it.
We were biting our lips, yes, but.
I saw that.
It happened.
I saw it. So, yes, at the Why Not 3 tonight. Who is James playing with this evening? Do you know, Jacobs? There's a band from out of town. But,
yeah, it was with the Jet W. Lee or something, and the Directionals and James Murphy and the Vedic Eden.
Vedic Eden, awesome band. Go
He's
ahead.
definitely playing with John Lidke on guitar in the Vedic Eden.
Yeah.
With him.
John Lidke's playing tonight, too?
Yeah,
Yeah.
He's been playing with his band.
Am I
Yeah, he's-
officially allowed to whine now that I don't feel good and I can't go?
We'll let one really long aw. There you go. There you go. All right.
Wait, can Spencer and I leave early to go see it?
I see how this works.
And also Zach Berg, I want to say.
Isaac.
Isaac Berg.
Isaac, yes.
What am I talking about?
Another fine musician.
Isaac Berg is playing percussion. He plays.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, he plays hand drums and percussive shakers and whatnot for the Vedic Eden.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've seen Bob Schaub play with them as well.
Yeah,
Also a
I saw
fine
him
musician.
play the kit drum the last time. He was playing the kit, and
Oh,
Isaac was
okay.
playing percussion.
Wow, I'd never seen the Vedic Eden with a drum kit. That's cool.
Yeah, the one time I saw him, they had a drum kit and an upright bass and like 30 percussionists. It's
Yeah.
pretty impressive.
These are all, as Julie knows, these are all MATC music department student alumni that have all. I met all of these folks at the music program in the C wing over there at MATC.
Interestingly enough, Spencer and I never crossed paths in the music department, but Denise was my former student. You're aware, Blaine, that I'm an instructor at MATC?
I am, and I'm a former student there as well.
Ah, I think you were there before I began teaching there.
Well, I would have been in the paralegal classes anyways. There wasn't a lot of music happening there.
All right. So let's play a song that we really liked the last time that he was in the studio. The song is called I Would For You.
And I would fight the lightning for you, and I would fight the thunder too. I would fight the gale force winds and be left standing in the end for you. I will fight the roaring river, take on the raging ocean tides, and I will fight the hurricane back to the eye from whence it came for you. I would do for you. I would do for you. I would do for you. I would lay down my sword. I will subjugate the forest. I'll bring a mountain to its knees, and I will set foot on the sun and bring its heart back in my palm for you. I will fight the dark of night, take on the denizens of fright, and I will fight the dragon lord at the center of its core for you.
James Murphy and the Vedic Eden here on riverwestradio.com. They're playing tonight at the Why Not 3. So get down there and hear this. This is a great band. Everything you heard on the recording you would hear live.
Except he can't do all the parts by himself live.
But he has the background vocals.
Yeah. Oh, he has.
Yeah.
But he did all the stuff on the recordings by himself, whereas he actually has a band of people to match his extra parts.
He's got a keyboardist that sings backing vocals.
Kashina Arman.
I believe, yeah. And he's got a girl who plays percussive shakers and a chair.
Yes.
That's right, folks.
Yep.
It's rather avant-garde, but she sits in a chair herself next to a very small white wooden chair, hits it with a drumstick as a metronome type of a thing. And
he
she
plays
does backing vocals.
He plays an acoustic guitar and sings. They have an upright bass player. John plays electric guitar.
Textural sounds, stuff like that.
And
then usually 2 other hand drums and I guess drum kit percussionists, Bob Schaub and Isaac Berg.
All right, awesome. What have you heard this music before, Denise?
No, this is my first time. I really like it. It had like a 1960s sound to it, and I also like the embellishments with the instruments. The accordion was a pleasant surprise. Accordions aren't one of those instruments that work well and everything, but they really executed that very well. So I'm impressed just from that.
There's a card that reminds me of a cartoon I saw once. This is one of those split-screen cartoons. The first panel, the guy's going up to the cloudy, pearly gates, and St. Peter says, "Welcome to heaven. Here's your harp." And then the second part of the screen says, "It's the devil and hell and the flames," and he goes, "Welcome to hell. Here's your accordion."
I remember that. I think that's a great visual for those 2 particular instruments.
But you're right. In this context, it's very lovely.
Yes, very, very lovely. They really did a good job with that. The song was just, I don't know, it just had me moving the whole time. But just the fact that what he was singing about, and it seemed ambitious. I would do anything, for you. And it didn't seem like it was a burden at all, the way he was singing it. It just seemed like this is something I'm willing to do regardless of how you respond to it. I'm still going to move forward with my particular feelings.
Right.
I really like that.
And I think part of how he gets that casual feel is the fact that the instrumentation is so laid back. You can almost tell someone's playing a chair, even though you don't really see that,
Yeah.
It's just real laid back and casual and comfortable, and it gives it a nice folksy texture to it that isn't really folk music, but it just feels really comfortable, like a bunch of people got together and just decided to play his song. And
Yeah, it was really natural the way everything came together. I kept thinking of the Wonder Years.
Really?
I love that show.
Yeah, I do too. I used to watch it all the time.
They have it on Netflix.
They
Browse
do.
Instant.
Yeah, I'm in season 2.
Nice. I already watched the entire thing, every episode.
Are you serious? I have to catch up.
How many seasons were there?
There was like 5 or 6. I don't know. It ended right when Kev graduated from high school.
Ah, they kind of had to end it there, didn't they?
Yep.
It wasn't wonderful anymore after that.
No. And Winnie Cooper moved to Paris for college, and he didn't see her for 8 years, and it was the worst. Just the worst.
Wow.
Right on. All right, well, let's move along. It's time for one of our favorite segments. This one is called Shameless, 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 Self. Promotion. Spencer, every week it just gets better.
Kazoo virtuoso.
Oh, is there a program at MATC for kazoo, or are they still working on that?
I think honestly they're thinking about getting Spencer over there
To
as
be the instructor.
adjunct professor of. They just haven't made him the right offer yet.
Exactly. I told them they couldn't afford me, which is probably the truth.
So anyways, this week we are going to promote Denise's music. Can you tell us what you brought in today?
I brought in finally the song that I did for Connections 2010 project.
Woo! Tell us about that.
Well, the project was actually thought of by students that were in the video production program. And what they wanted to do was combine all of the major arts programs that's at MATC and do one collective project for their showcase, which is normally every May, any particular day, normally the Saturday, second week of Saturday, I believe, in May. They have a showcase where they play all of the students' animations and video projects. And that particular year, we were lucky enough, the music department, to work with the animation students and come up with original music for their cartoons. And the one that I picked was one that looked the most like a Japanese cartoon.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
For those people who don't know, Denise loves anime and she loves video games, all Japanese, anything all Japanese artwork and stuff. And I remember seeing the film, and it does have that look.
Yeah, so when I saw it, and I looked at quite a few of them that particular day, and I was like, oh, this is the one that I want to do a music score for. And the theme of the video, she wanted the music to cause spring to come about. So as the music played, there were grass that was growing, and there was birds and butterflies that were popping up everywhere, and that's kind of how the video went. So if you can visualize that when you hear the music, that's what was going on. So the song itself is about 41 seconds long. Yeah, but it's nice though.
And I've seen the animation. I saw the whole thing put together, and it works perfectly. It really does. So you finally got it to a mix that you're happy with.
Yeah.
So you're committing right now, here today, that you are never going to change the mix.
Well, I know, I had to think about it for a second.
Dot.
I know, it's funny because you always think of stuff afterwards, like, ooh, I would like to add that. But as of now, I promise.
What time is it? It's 8:36.
Yes, as of 8:36. At 8:37, I can't promise you anything.
Okay.
But for now, I promise it will not be changed.
All right. So listeners, etch this into your memories.
Exactly.
So the name of the piece is?
Denise Anime. I honestly actually named it Denise Anime.
Sounds good.
Okay.
And here we go. She is setting up her iPod. That's really cool. I like the bird at the end.
Thanks. That was a little added bonus. There was a hawk that flew away at the end of the cartoon, so it took me maybe 2 or 3 days to find an actual hawk that sounded correct and didn't sound like it was trying to kill anyone. It was really hard to do. I was like, ah! I'm like, no, we don't want to kill anyone. You're just flying away. It took a long time to find a normal hawk.
Want inspiring, not vicious.
There you go. There you go.
What I really liked about it is, even though we can't see the video of it, after hearing the description of what it was supposed to embody, I get it. It does have that feel of, it starts off with promise, and then you know, it's like this excitement with those timpani, and then all of a sudden the next thing you're hearing these strings come in, and these strings are kind of building. And I really liked the low pizzicato strings, the basses that were pizzicato, that just gave it a real nice kind of, I don't know, just kind of a nice support for the whole thing.
Yeah, I liked it because I actually came up with that part after seeing the speakers that she drew in the cartoon.
Okay.
And the way the speakers, well, actually, I used the timpanis for that, but it just seemed like a heartbeat. Since things were coming to life, I felt that the pizzicato low strings would be good for a heartbeat for everything growing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That really worked. What do you guys think?
Yeah,
I think
good to me.
I think anytime you've got a song or a piece of music, I mean, if it's working, it's setting up a image or a movie in your head.
Right.
You know, ever since you're a little kid, you hear stuff and you've got these soundtracks going on to whatever's going on in your imagination. And that's, I mean, when you said the low notes like a heartbeat, you know, I mean, some of the best music, you know, it's like a two beat drone that's like a heartbeat, and that's primal. That's probably the first music or the first sounds we hear
Right.
when we're, you know, our consciousness is developing.
You know, that's interesting you mentioned that, because there's a theory that before we spoke, singing was the precursor to speaking. And they think it began because women started to realize that they caught on to the fact that their newborn baby was clued into their body sounds. So they realized, if I make more sounds, I'm going to soothe my baby. And so they began to sculpt the sounds, and they realized that if I go, they make it, you know how even we're teachers, and Denise teaches little kids, and sometimes you can really get them to listen to you if you do a lot of that. And so they were thinking that that music came first, song came first, singing came first, and then speech. There's a book, and I can't think of the name of it, The Cold Medicine. I will blame the cold medicine. But I believe it's songs around the world. I'll have to look it up or think about it some more. But there is a book that's out that talks about the origins of music and speech and how they feel this developed.
Which one's the chicken and which one's the egg?
I don't think that maps onto this. I don't think that analogy kind of maps onto this one. Why?
Well, if you can't tell which one came first, and they're both pretty dependent on each other.
Yeah, they can't tell for sure, but I think that they really, this particular author is, you know, promoting the idea that the singing came first. Well, the heartbeat came first, and that gets full circle back to what Blaine was saying. Yeah, I see what you're saying, though, Jacob. So, Shameless Self-Promotion 2 has to do with me doing something I am loath to do, but I know it's something I should do. Because it puts things in context for our listeners and for our panelists here who have not heard this because I haven't played it. Actually, Denise, you have heard it.
I play it a lot.
I know. She told me this last week, and I'm like, well, she's already heard it. I don't give CDs to all of my students because this is something I've done a long time ago, but Denise, I gave her a CD like a year or two ago, and you did mention you liked this song. So I'm going to play it because you did mention you liked it.
Thank you, Julie.
And let me put this into context for everyone else. It's a nice segue. We'll do our quiz before our interview, but it will be a nice segue into talking about music with Blaine, because Blaine and I played in it was my first real band. And the band was called True Heart Susie, which was kind of found in a book of film names. It's an old film from D.W. Griffith, which I later found out was not such a nice guy. And then I'm like, oh, crap, I named a band after this guy. Oh, well, I didn't know. But anyway, so True Heart Susie was kind of a poppy, progressive sort of group. And I don't even have a date for you on this one, but the song from that time, and I can't even remember if you're on this recording, Blaine. This is from the first album.
We recorded some stuff at Cornerstone and recorded this, but I don't know if this is the same version. I think we did 3 songs at Cornerstone.
This is, then you're probably on this. You're probably on this. So this is a song called Wish Number 4.
You
Wish number 4, True Heart Susie, A Blast from the Past. All right. There's an interesting story about that sound that happens at the beginning. The engineer, Paul Knavers, who was running Cornerstone Records at his second location, there was a junkyard in the backyard, and so I think he was calling it Junkyard Studios at that point. And there were all the railroad tracks, because this is in the Third Ward, Fifth Ward, Third Ward,
east of KK.
on Barclay. Yeah, and he liked the sound of the natural echo back there, so he put me back there to do the vocals. So I'm back there with my headphones and all by myself in the junkyard. And right as he began the track, this train started going by. And the brakes of the train went right in time with the music. So he kept it. So that was not an effect that we made up to put on it like oft we do. That actually was an accident. So that was kind of cool. So anyways, that's that. All right, moving right along. I'm not at all.
Brushing the past off your.
I love the past, but I live for the now and look forward to the future. And so I'm proud and thrilled for what I've done and the people I've worked with and met and got to be part of my world experience. And I'm very happy with it, but I'm the type of person that, what am I doing next? What am I doing next? I know you're the same way. That's why you're here, because you're doing something. You've done things. Yep. I can't wait to hear them. So we're going to move right on to the quiz. And today's quiz is rather short, which is good for today. So there's a little bit of a theme here, although it's maybe kind of a goofy theme. But anyways, so the quiz question number 1. Everybody got your papers? Oh, we're going to share. Quiz question number 1 is, who sang No More Drama? Was it Jade? Was it Shantae Moore? Was it Mary J. Blige, or was it Ja Rule? Which one? I'd never heard of one of those artists, so I probably pronounced the name wrong.
I am going with Mary J. Blige.
All right. Spencer?
I have no idea. So it sounds like I'm gonna go with Jade. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Mary J.
I'm going to go with Mary J. Blige, too, then. That seems like must be the right answer.
Because everybody else answered it. I picked this question out of a group of questions because I knew the answer. Because I'd heard this song. So, yes, that is correct. Mary J. Blige. Apparently, there's some juicy gossip behind that. She wrote that about Casey of Jodeci. Jodeci? Am I saying that right?
Do you know who Sean Hinton is?
No.
He's a musician in town. I think he grew up playing in church bands.
Yeah.
And I did an article on him a few years ago, and he was Mary J. Blige's musical director for a while.
What do you know?
Yeah.
Now that's very strange that I brought up somebody that you know through. See, it's the 24 degrees of separation between, or 10 degrees of Mary J. Blige. We all feel like we know her now.
Yes, we do.
She's an awesome artist. So the second question. I did not know the answer to this when I looked for this one. Who of these people were kicked out of the thrash band Metallica? Are they considered a thrash band?
Oh, yeah. They're one of the pioneers of thrash.
Okay, I just thought they were just metal. I didn't know the thrash was involved.
That's thrash, them and Anthrax and Slayer and Megadeth and all that. That was straight up thrash music where it's basically it's really, really fast 4/4 beats.
What year would you say that started? Because that was one of the
1983 or 1984.
questions, that I saw. All right, here are the choices. James Hetfield, Dave Mustaine, probably pronouncing that wrong, Kerry King, or Daryl Abbott.
AKA Dimebag Daryl Abbott.
Right.
Dimebag Daryl, who's no longer with us. Yes, that I know.
Well,
Jacob.
I can spoil this one.
Don't spoil it. You go
Don't
last.
spoil it, Jacob. Spoiler you.
Let's start with our guest. Blaine?
I'm pretty sure I know that it's Dave Mustaine.
Okay, is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay,
right.
let's
Kind of
just.
an acrimonious split.
Yes.
Well, yeah. I mean, Hetfield is still in Metallica, and
Right.
then Kerry King is still in Slayer, and Daryl Abbott got killed on stage. So.
He did?
Wah,
Yeah.
wah, wah.
He got killed on stage? I thought he just died.
No, he was murdered.
He was shot on stage. Dimebag got shot on stage.
Oh, I just thought he was
His-
keeled over.
The
No.
anniversary
After
of
being
his,
shot, yeah.
The anniversary of his death.
The bullet made that happen.
Bullets. Multiple.
Yeah.
He was. It was 8 years ago, and it was actually the anniversary of his death was about 2 weeks ago, and yeah, a crazed gunman, a ex U.S. Marine, or maybe even current Marine, he just wasn't, deployed or whatever at the time. But yeah,
He was a crazed Pantera fan, and he blamed Dimebag for the breakup of Pantera.
Oh, wow. I remember when it happened, and I know that all of my metal friends and metal students were quite mournful. So
yeah.
I knew the name and I knew that. All right. Now, a couple of times on this show, we have pointed out the fact that Dolly Parton wrote the song I Will Always Love You, which many people did not know with the very unfortunate passing of Whitney Houston. That song had, been played a lot because it's one of her triumphs as a vocalist. It was also one of Dolly Parton's triumphs as a songwriter. But what artist did Parton write the song for in the first place? Anybody know?
I recently heard a radio interview with Alex Chilton from like 1975 or 1976, and he sang that song. And
Wow.
it must have been like right after Dolly released it. And I'm certain she didn't write it for Alex Chilton, but for him to pick up on it.
Who's Alex Chilton?
Alex Chilton was in a band called the Box Tops in the 1960s.
Okay.
And then he was in a group called Big Star.
Word.
The theme song for the 70s show,
Okay.
that's a Big Star tune.
I know the Box Tops song. Taking a little aeroplane.
The
Ain't
letter.
got time to take a fast train.
Oh,
good
yeah,
song,
yeah. Sure.
Really good song.
Denise is like,
But I don't know who she wrote.
I
it
did
for.
not know the answer to this either.
I'm glad I'm not alone.
No, you're not alone. I did not know the answer to
I
this.
got nothing.
I think I'm gonna go out on a limb and just throw a random name out there. Maybe Nancy Sinatra.
Good try. Denise, any guesses, stabs in the dark?
This is so off. I'm just gonna say the only name that came to mind for no apparent reason, but Elton John. I know that's way off.
That was
could
the
see him
answer to one of the
singing
trivia
it.
questions last week or something like that.
Jacob, any
No, I
ideas?
have no idea.
Blaine, you don't.
I don't know. From the time it was written, and it was probably geared towards a country person, maybe Kenny Rogers or.
Think back even further. See, now, these young people probably don't remember some of these country artists because the only gateway I would have had into it was Hee Haw when I was a kid, okay? So think back then. Now, I'm not a country music fan, although when it's done well, I like it, such as the Whiskey Bells. And I mean that. But I did remember watching Hee Haw with my grandma as a kid. And so can you think back to that era?
Can you
Think
tell
back.
us
Boy,
if
could
it
have
was?
been George Jones?
No,
Can you tell us if the person that she wrote it for was a guy or a girl?
it's a guy.
It's a guy. Because that changes my June Carter answer to something else.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
When I say it, Blaine's going to go, oh, yeah. Porter Wagner.
No,
Yeah,
that makes sense. Because
yeah.
Dolly and Porter had a long-running show together
Right.
in Nashville, and they recorded a bunch of albums together.
Right. Either you have to be closer to our age to remember some of this stuff, or you have to be a country music fan.
Right.
One or the other.
I am neither.
And I am one of those.
Well, and another thing you have to remember is that what country music sounds like nowadays is basically pop music.
Oh, exactly.
But what it
Definitely,
sounded like
definitely.
back
It's
then,
twangy pop music. I agree. Well, I like country from the 50s and the 60s.
Yeah.
I really got into some of that stuff. Willie Nelson, Johnny Cash, and I mean even some Dolly Parton. I thought they did some really good music.
Marshall Tucker Band.
But
Yeah.
but
Oh, yeah.
but back then, country music was
Country.
It was a ghetto. There was very few people, and it was looked down upon. And like Julie said,
Yeah,
you
Hank
know,
Williams,
up here,
yeah.
if you wanted to see country music, you turned on Hee Haw, which was kind of a jokey show. It wasn't taken seriously.
But you know something? Even at that point, I didn't care for it. It wasn't my taste even as a child. But boy, when Roy Clark got up there with that banjo, holy cow, you could not watch it. It was engaging. And even then as a young girl watching this, Dolly Parton, you know, for all of her pageantry, we'll say, and her wigs and her pretty looks, her talent was really clear. Her talent was really clear. So I kind of threw that one in there.
Hee Haw was early Goldie Hawn too, right?
That was like kind of a parallel show. That was, what was that? Laugh-In.
Yeah.
That was right, they were like right next door to each other.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was her start, Goldie Hawn start, absolutely. All right. Here we have another one. Mozart and Schumann were two musicians who are known to have died from somewhat mysterious illnesses. What 18th/19th century medicine or substance were they taking that no one today would ever ingest to try to cure their ailments? It's more like a science question.
I didn't know it was mysterious illnesses. I thought they had syphilis.
I was gonna.
Straight up. I'm not even going to lie to you. I thought Mozart had syphilis.
Now, you know what, Spencer? You're right about Schumann.
Well,
You're
there
right
you go.
about Schumann. Mozart, they weren't sure. They think he had a lung disease.
What were they taking mercury or something?
That is correct.
Yeah,
You
'cause
got
I
it.
was going to say arsenic.
Yeah, I remember it was something really, really toxic they used to try to take to cure that stuff. It's like,
Well, and this, I threw this question in there because I saw one of my Facebook friends were talking about Schumann and some interesting trivia about Schumann. This is a shout out to Hobbs, who was our guest a couple months ago. And I tried to nudge him into doing more research. I said that now you got to research the reason why. Why? So here's why Schumann was taking mercury. And he was commenting that Schumann began his career not as a composer but a concert pianist. Well, what ended up ending his concert piano career is he was in fact taking mercury for syphilis, and that makes your hands shake. And it also makes you crazy, which it did, which he did end up dying.
well, the syphilis makes you crazy too.
Well, right. So he dude was pretty crazy, but
Yeah.
wrote some absolutely amazing music, and actually was a journalist too. He was one of the first in fact, he was one of the first music journalists of all time, who was specifically writing articles weekly on music. So that's another piece of trivia about Schumann. So yeah, he was studying under the professor, I don't remember his name, and fell in love with the professor's daughter, and then started taking the mercury and couldn't do and the professor obviously wasn't thrilled about his daughter marrying this guy. And then Brahms decided he really liked Clara Schumann, and Brahms and Clara never, they were good, and she's like, no, I'm married, and no, he's in the insane asylum, but he's married, and Schumann dies. And then Clara's like, okay, Brahms, I'm free, and he's like, I'm not interested anymore. These classical musicians, I mean, it was pretty exciting back then too.
Well, wasn't he like alive but in the insane asylum for like 15 years or something?
Yeah.
I've got a bit of trivia that's a tangent. Back in the days when there were record labels and record companies and records, there was a guy named Graham Parker who was on a label called Mercury Records. And Mercury wasn't promoting him very well. And he had one record left on his contract. And he wrote a song called Mercury Poisoning. That was the end of his contract.
Nice.
That's a good song.
That's pretty interesting. Yes, I remember back in the day of record contracts and that kind of thing. Today you don't want that because you just died down. All right, we have one more question. When Miles Davis was 22, he traveled to a city he didn't want to leave. What city was it, and why didn't he want to leave? Anybody know the answer to this?
New Orleans?
No, I'll give you a hint. It's a European city.
I was gonna guess he went to like Paris.
That is correct. Why
I
did
was
he
going to
not
say
want?
Dusseldorf. Dang.
Why did he not want to leave?
I think there was a lot of jazz musicians and a lot of American artists.
And I think they were way more accepting of him being a black man on top of the musical industry in Europe than they were in the United States.
Yeah, I think they were appreciated for their talents and
In
they
the
didn't
same
have to
way
put up
that
with the racist.
Well, right.
crap.
They accepted Django Reinhardt in Europe, and he was as much of a freak as it got at that point in time. you
He
know.
was what they would call then a gypsy, what they prefer to be called,
Roma.
Roma. Yeah. So, yeah, this was in
What-
1949.
What they were calling him first must have been pretty bad if he prefers gypsy.
No, they prefer to be called Roma, but they were calling them gypsies. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
no,
Django
that-
Reinhardt.
bad.
But that was, it just, again, another group that was marginalized. And so it was 1949 when Davis traveled to Paris, and he was booked to play the Parisian International Jazz Festival. And he said, "This is my first trip out of the country. It changed the way I look at things forever. I loved being in Paris, and I loved the way I was treated. Paris was where I understood that all white people were not the same, that some weren't prejudiced. It's really sad he had to go to another country in 1949. We're not talking about 1919. We're talking about 1949 to discover this.
And
So
1949 was probably post Charlie Parker, but pre-Birth of the Cool, right? So
that's correct.
so he wasn't Miles Davis yet.
No.
The genius who would change music.
So they were
Right.
just
Through
accepting him. He wasn't a star yet. They were just accepting him
I
for
think
his
that was
talent.
probably right when he had hit stardom. He had released a bebop album or two, and then was kind of moving on into the Miles phase. you know.
That's right. Now, Jacob, you're good at this. What was the kind of theme for these questions?
Oh, I have no idea. I have to look at them. I don't have a script. There wasn't
Oh,
enough for me.
yes, we're supposed to be sharing, and I'm completely hogging the script. I'm trying to save trees here, Jacob.
Is it love leading to syphilis?
No. And in fact, I can tell you, I doubt if love very often does. I tried to touch upon all the major genres of music that people, the most popular, R&B and classical and jazz, and so that was my little theme.
And country and metal.
And country and metal, and somebody's gonna start calling and screaming, "Wait a minute, you forgot about..."
You forgot rock music.
We got electro.
I thought metal was rock music.
Don't tell that to a metalhead.
Oh gosh, I'm in trouble now. So, speaking of rock music, I was in a rock band once, and my friend Blaine Schultz was in the rock band with me.
We rocked.
And we rocked a lot. So it's good to see you. And
see
you've
you.
done a lot of things since then, and I'd really like to hear about what's been going on.
Well, since I played with you, I was in a band called Mona Lisa Overdrive for a while, and that was fairly successful around town. We did a few recordings, and that band broke up, and I had started a recording project called the Aimless Blades, and I was figuring out how to run a 4-track recorder, and would invite my friends over, and did about maybe 4 or 5 cassettes, album-length things on cassettes, and then some friends sort of suggested I put a band together, so gradually that happened, and we've been playing probably about 15 years now, and we're working on our 5th CD.
Wow. I've been missing out on all this.
It's pretty low-key at this point. We get together every weekend. Our drummer lives in Sheboygan Falls, and we record and play gigs when we can. We're going to be playing at Linneman's for the annual Neil Young tribute benefit, and then that's in November, and also at Circle A. Pretty low-key gigs for the most part, but we've gotten our CDs around the world and gotten smattering of feedback here and there, different countries. So
That's really cool. And that could not have happened, 20 years ago.
No.
So before we start getting into details, the only detail I'd like to know is who's on the recording you're about to play, so we have that in the back of our
Okay.
minds.
this kind of ties into what you mentioned about the Whiskey Bells. This is a song that has Angel Rhodey singing on it,
Oh, yay.
and it starts out with a let me cue it up here.
Angel is a fantastic singer. She is currently living in Seattle. She's with her daughter, and her daughter is a wonderful person that I've also met. And Angel's a fantastic singer and a visual artist. She's a really talented person.
And a great bass player, too.
And a great bass player. Did she play bass on this at all?
No, she didn't. She sang on it, and Rip Tenor played saxophone on it.
Oh, cool. AKA Art Kumbalik from The Shepherd. So what's the name of the song?
This song is called Mekong Delta Blues.
Mekong Delta Blues. So we're going to set this up. This is riverwestradio.com. You're listening to Compose Yourself with Julie Brandenburg. Our guest today is Blaine Schultz, and he's going to play a song from the Aimless Blades. You're listening to the Aimless Blades on riverwestradio.com, and I just did an executive edit with my foot, and I apologize. Can we pick it up somewhere in the middle and continue? Thanks.
Politicians quite. This existence and these four walls closing in. Daylight's fading away, goodbye, I'm shedding this mortal skin.
Macon Delta Blues here on RiverWestRadio.com. We're listening to the music of the Aimless Blades, and we've got Blaine Schultz in the studio. What an awesome arrangement and song.
Thank you.
I love the organ in there.
Thanks. That was Paul Setzer playing that.
Oh, okay. Paul Setzer. He's good.
It's good.
So, you really know how to put together a song. How would you give advice to a young songwriter who's perhaps having difficulties trying to either get started or somebody who's been writing for a while and might be having some glitches and kind of in a rut? What do you think?
Well, I think to get back to the historical nature of the conversation earlier, when you asked me to play with your band, I was kind of taking mental notes at the time about people in bands. And it seemed like
they're all crazy,
more or less.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was kind of a petri dish of people, you know. At least that early lineup, a couple lineups that I was playing in, and from my perspective, I was the weakest link in the chain musically. I mean, there were some pretty heavy players there. So what I took from that was that, you know, as I grew and progressed in writing songs and came up with ideas and stuff, find people that fit the song and surround yourself with the best people you can get. If you got a vision in your head, go after it. And for that song, we had the core group, you know, and Scott plays a fantastic wah-wah solo in there, and that's a big part of the song, and the rhythm section is really driving it. But having Rip play the saxophone part, you know, was really neat to set the mood. It really kind of helped drive it. And then, you know, to get Angel in it, just the vocals at the end just pushes everything over the top. She just kind of takes the song over.
Yeah, and the dissonant vocals and the saxophone gave it a real Pink Floyd kind of feel to it throughout the course of the song.
Yeah. Her vocals were, especially because I caught how her vocals sort of attach themselves to this idea of these coyotes out in the desert. You know, it's not like she's wailing and sounding like a coyote literally, but it has that feel, especially the way it's produced, too. You've got her echoing in the background, and then you bring her more forward as the song ends. Nice.
Yeah, and there's examples of that throughout the records that we did where a different instrumentation. Scott playing a dobro on something, for instance, it'll change the character of a song. And
Can you explain to those who might not know what a dobro is?
A dobro is basically an acoustic guitar that has a metal resonator plate in it. It's kind of a bluegrass instrument. It's real twangy, and it's got a very mournful sound. It's kind of drony, bluesy sounding. So that'll change the character of a song instantly. And you play with a slide.
Right. Yeah. So it sounds to me like the song possibly started out just with you and the guitar. Now, do you always write on the guitar?
Primarily, I played bass in a couple bands, and I'm an average at best bass player, and I can plunk away on a keyboard a little bit. So, if I get stale on the guitar, I'll try something else every once in a while, and that'll open up something. Another option is putting a capo on, and that'll. And as you know, there's no rules.
Right. So what you're saying is, if you have an idea floating around and it's just not seeming to present itself on one instrument, you may find another avenue to draw it out.
Sure. Or I mean, songs can incubate for a long time, as you guys all know. They might be waiting for the right person, to collaborate with. The situation might happen where you can get inspired to write a bridge or a last chorus that ties everything together. There's so many different avenues.
When you're writing, do you write with your audience in mind? Are you writing with certain musicians in mind? Or are you writing just to satisfy something you need to hear, or some of the above, or all of the above?
I think it probably starts with the latter. Trying to flesh something out, an idea that I had. But in the back of my mind, the band is always there. Because that's kind of the litmus test. I'll write songs that I think are okay. Well, maybe this is okay. And it's, as you know, it's pretty hard to bring something to a band. It's got to get through your gatekeeper first.
Right.
And then the band, what is their reaction to it? Are they kind of looking at their feet, or are they inspired by it? Right. So if you can set that bar high enough that they glom onto it right away, and somebody's thinking, I got a great part for this, let's go, let's drive the rhythm this way, let's try something else.
Do you do the arrangements? Like, if you recall on True Heart Susie, most of the time I would have almost everything written out, but then there'd be times I'd be like, I got nothing. And then Steve would come up with a killer bass line, or you'd come up with a killer riff, or the drummer would.
I think that I've never had any music lessons. I don't know harmony. I don't know theory. So I'm pretty bare bones when I bring it to a band. I can kind of communicate some ideas, but everybody brings their own stuff to the table, and stuff is pliable. It's flexible.
So this is why I see now why you're talking about. I need to have these people, because I have an idea of what I want, but what I want is what they like to play and what they may tend to bring to the table.
Sure. Yeah.
That makes total sense. So when you're writing something, you're thinking, and so I could just picture that kind of bass line so and so would put on here, as opposed to the other so and so person. And you choosing to work with people who can bring that sound to your music.
Yeah, and another thing is, with the core group that we've had for the last maybe 10 years, it's like you kind of develop that sense of what people can do. So when you're writing, you're hearing the rhythm section in your head. Those guys, and Scott and Jim have played in bands. Jim Richardson played drums in a band called Death, a Milwaukee punk band in 74, 75. Think about it. 1974, 1975, they were playing original music. They were getting stuff thrown at them. They're playing, Velvet Underground covers or something. It's not going over big. So these guys have been through the wars together. So, that background that they have, that's serious. That's heart attack stuff right there.
Well, and I think the other thing about bringing people into a band that was really important to me, and this kind of speaks to something you touched on, which I was not agreeing with about the weakest link thing. There are different ways to bring something to a band, and when I was trying to find people, one of the most important things to me, more than virtuosity, was sincerity. That means a lot to me. Authenticity, sincerity. I would rather work with someone that maybe needs to have 4 or 5 takes to get it right in the recording, who's going to really bring a freshness and a realness to the sound, than someone who can swagger in and, throw a solo down and then swagger out and be a total something I can't say on the air. Most of the time.
Sure.
You see what I mean? And that, to me, my music was never meant to be something that was supposed to be, look at us, but look at this, and we have things to say. And I get that same feeling from yours, which explains full circle why I wanted you involved in the project. So.
That makes sense, yeah.
Well, let's listen to something else.
Okay.
Can you set this up for us?
Let me...
This time I promise I won't mess with the cord, so there will be no executive editing with my foot this time. I found that doesn't ever really work very well.
That's multi-talented, though, to edit with your feet. Because it's really hard to do that with your hands. So for those listening, what she just did was very difficult. Please do not believe otherwise.
I have been practicing for weeks for this event, and I timed it exactly.
Okay, this is kind of interesting. Back in terms of collaboration, let me set this up a little bit. We'd been playing a song that Scott had written, and he only had the music for. And unbeknownst to me, I thought he was singing it in practice. Sometimes practice can be kind of loud. You're in a basement with a crappy PA, and everybody's excited. So Scott had been playing this song. Scott Krieger from the Amos Blades. He also played in a band called the Shivers that was pretty big around town in the late '80s. At one point he said, "Well, can you write lyrics for that?" I said, "Well, don't you have lyrics?" He said, "No, I've just been kind of mumbling." So what I did was we did a backing track, and he did it, and I wrote the lyrics based on what I thought he was singing.
Oh.
So it's kind of a ghost version of that, and I think it turned out pretty good. So this is from the most recent Amos Blades record. This is called Tumble Down.
Aimless Blades here on riverwestradio.com. I liked that that line, will you be too far gone to walk away? Is it too far down or too far?
Too far gone.
Too far gone. That's what I thought. Will you be too far gone to walk away? That's cool. So you thought, so this is what you thought your lead singer was singing.
Well, you know, it was fragments of what I thought he was singing, and then just kind of tried to connect the dots, and
That's cool how you put that together.
what it ended up being.
I actually like that because of the fact that a lot of times when I'm listening to a track that I just made, I normally never have words for it, but I kind of hum what I think the music is saying, or hum the part that I think would fit. And so I can relate to what you did as far as coming up with the lyrics, going off of what he was humming and taking it from there. That was really cool.
Yeah, sometimes I have like mock-up lyrics. I'll usually write the first couple lines. The music and the lyrics will come together for the first couple lines. But then when I get to verse 2, I haven't gotten that far yet. I'm ahead of myself now. So just for practicing and getting it to develop, I'll start maybe as having mock-up lyrics, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And sometimes those kind of take the direction and develop from there. So it kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah, and maybe it's bubbling under your subconscious all along, you know, and it just needs something to come out.
Yeah. Wow.
I like the way both songs kind of shows two different processes of your songwriting. And I like what you were talking about on the first song about how you have a vision for that particular song and you have a vision of the sound and how you want it to come together. Those tracks always end up turning into magic. And that's what I was thinking about when I was listening to the first one. Like, man, everything fits so perfectly. And sure enough, that's how it came together for you. And so that shows that side of songwriting. And then this particular song shows that you can have not necessarily the lyrics right away, but you can have a humming tune. And then that slowly develops into words that fit the song perfectly. And so I like the way the audience is able to see both sides of songwriting, two different processes.
Great point. Who's playing bass on this?
That's Angela V. Ellis.
Angela Vielas. Why do I feel like I should know who that is?
She was my ex-wife.
That's why I should feel like I should know who that is. Okay. You
Yeah,
all
she
right?
played bass with us up until about 5 years ago.
Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
and she used to play with the Mercuries too.
Right, I remember that. Sorry, my memory's a little faded. I am on cold medicine. This is my disclaimer for all of the mishaps of the 2 hours, which is actually an hour and 50 minutes. Let's listen to some more. Do you have some more to share?
Yeah. I think.
You said your drummer lives in Sheboygan Falls.
Yeah.
That's kind of strange because that's my hometown where I'm from.
Well, I looked that up on the internet. Yeah. His family owns a furniture store there.
Which one? The
Richardson.
Richardsons? Oh, okay, for sure. I had a friend who worked at the Richardson Yacht Club for a little while. Small world.
That is cool.
Okay, this is a more of an acoustic song that came from our first CD, and this is called A Train Called Sundays.
See the sky and the sun is setting. Everything should be well and fine. It's what I keep on thinking. At least these thoughts are still half
In my prayer, these things are different, and I never knew your name. Never felt the madness of your touch or was burned by your flame. And I know I must be dreaming, but it's the best that I can do. And one day I'll be so far away, no more to torture you. Well, there's a train round here called Sundays, and she always runs on time. There's a train round here called Sundays, and she always runs on time. There's a train round here called Sundays, and she always runs on time. There's a train round here called Sundays, and she always runs on time.
Aimless Blades on riverwestradio.com. What was the line in there? All the mornings tumble into Sunday or fall into Sunday. What was that line? All the mornings end up on Sunday.
Come back to Sunday, something like that.
Yeah, that was cool. And then I like at the end, there's a train that's called Sunday, and she's running right on time. It's because Friday, I get the feeling like Friday at 4 p.m. when you get off of work, or 6 p.m. or whatever time, you're like, yay, I've got this whole weekend, and it's the weekend. And then all of a sudden it's Sunday morning, and you're like, oh yeah, reality is setting in here.
Sunday morning coming down.
Is that kind of what you had in mind?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that one was Susan Howe is singing on that one. She's actually a school teacher in Hong Kong.
Oh wow.
She's from up north. She's from Appleton. The whole idea, the end of the summer, fall, end of the week, Sunday evening. I think a lot of people are kind of afflicted with that
Yeah.
feeling. It's here we go again.
I'm kind of underemployed, so I don't have that issue, and I like my job, so I don't have that issue. So when I do work, I'm happy to go. So, so where can people obtain this music?
CD Baby is the source for all of the real tangible products, and everything else, almost everything else, is on iTunes.
Excellent. Now you are also a music journalist.
I am.
So tell us a little bit about that.
I've been writing for The Shepherd for probably about 22 years now.
Yeah.
22 years. Occasionally, whatever comes up. Dave Lurson, the arts editor there, has always been very, very generous when I've pitched him ideas. If he's interested in something, he'll say, go ahead and do it. Show reviews, articles on bands, record reviews, CD reviews.
Dave is a very, very generous and a great community person. He never has lost touch with how successful he's been as a film critic and doing what he does. Dave Lurson has always kept in touch with me, and if I have a project or an idea, I did something crazy a couple of years ago. I did a story the whole story was told in Twitter feeds.
Tweets.
And tweets, that's right. I haven't been tweeting, so I kind of lost the lingo. But the whole story was, Denise, you followed that, and so did your friend Donald, right? Yeah. So anyways, I reran this, and he actually put an article about it in the paper. I was really kind of surprised. That was very kind and generous. Anyways, so watch for Blaine Schultz's articles in The Shepherd. Do you publish elsewhere?
Yeah, I also write for a paper in Appleton called the Fox Valley Scene. And I write a monthly column there called Postcard from Milwaukee, which kind of focuses on local music here, throwing it back up north. And it's on the internet, so the rest of the world. So,
have you seen that?
No, I haven't. But like, so, excuse me. If group is coming to town and you really like them, you can get free tickets as long as you write a story and just say, hey, I need to go cover this.
Well, it's not like I snap my fingers and stuff happens.
Yeah.
You know, you kind of have to grease the wheels and make sure
Yeah.
it's going to be able to run, and then
I feel you.
You know, it's
Grease a few palms, shake a few hands.
I see the wheels turning in Spencer's head. He's like, journalist. I can write. I like concerts. Hey, you got to start somewhere.
Well, I went to school and got a degree in journalism, so.
Ah, well, then there's that.
So I ended
That's a
up
lot of work.
working at a law firm.
Do you? Wow. All right. Anything else that you want to add or promote, talk about?
Well, I think that people listening on the radio have no idea that, well, they might have some idea, but we're sitting in a storefront on River West, looking out a window as people and traffic walks by, and it's the furthest thing that people would think from a radio program. I mean,
Right.
It's a very relaxed setting, and you just come in and everybody plugs in and you start talking. You know, I mean, I think radio seems to be a sterile environment. At least my experience. You know, you go into a dark room and there's somebody there and they're turning mics on, and it's not a relaxed atmosphere normally.
It's usually very scripted and, very time crunch out the entire time.
Sure.
You have to get something done in exactly 56 seconds, and then move on to the next part.
And you're on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, you noticed what a tight ship we ran around here.
Yeah, I think this is really cool. I think, it gets off the ground with the low power license and,
Yeah.
actually what people used to refer to as a legitimate radio station. Now,
Yeah.
if it's on the internet, you can listen to a podcast anytime.
Right.
And I think it's really cool. It's really cool what you guys are doing.
The do-it-yourself sensibility that has
Exactly.
made River West what it is today.
That's really a good point, yeah. I know we have to give a shout out to Zav and the River West Film and Video Store, which every person in a 1 mile to 2 mile radius should be patronizing, if not the whole city, for putting
Yeah,
this
pretty
together.
much.
And for Nick Ryan, who does all of our engineering in the back. So let's listen to another song before we're ready to wrap
Okay.
it up.
This is another one along the lines of collaboration. A friend of mine named Dan Patscott was the inspiration for the title. It's called DP at the Player Piano. And there's no player piano on it, but I corralled Don Turner one night and asked him if he'd like to come up with some horn parts. So him and Dave Kuzma and Dave Bolliard did some horn charts for this song and just really knocked it out of the park.
Wow. You've been listening to Compose Yourself with Julie Brandenburg. I'd like to thank Jacob and Denise and Spencer. And I'd like to especially thank our guest today, Blaine Schultz from the Aimless Blades. Our guest next week is going to be Living Dreads, Tony Gehring. So I'm going to have us go out today with a cut from Living Dread called Dread is Rising.
Beat up, so here we go. Get it on that bass, like, do the flow.